If money was no object, I would charter a plane and I would have my ultimate shopping list. And I would go get my spices in Morocco and my fleur de sel in the south of France and my saffron in Iran. And I would just go shopping all over the world and get my ultimate shopping list.
Welcome to a new episode of Most Memorable Journeys. My guest today is AB from Balanced Travel. She is the creator. She is the person who created Balanced Travel, and she has a lot of stories to tell. And I was telling her, and I'm going to say this publicly, I have never been so little prepared for a podcast recording, but I feel like I already know her, even though we've only spoken for 5 minutes. So this is going to be good. Welcome to Most Memorable Journeys, AB.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you for having me today.
I want to talk to you about, because you're a traveler, you do nothing else but travel. I mean, this is your life, your work, your income, your whatever, your bread. How did that start?
Well, my grandmother, actually. When I was 7 years old, my grandmother took me to Europe. We went to Germany and Amsterdam. And the second that I got back, Elizabeth, I knew when I got back to the United States that I was meant to be on the road. I couldn't graduate school soon enough, at 7 years old. There was something about when we flew into Germany, I'll never forget seeing the rooftops and the clay roofs and just being a little child and something that I'd never seen. And, the homes and the people and the pastry trucks that would drive around in the morning. And I don't know, it just, I think as a small child experiencing something like that, it really just shifted something in my mind. And ever since then, I have been just full of
Hooked.
enthusiasm for travel.
That's interesting because that's very young. I mean, 7 is kind of, you don't really know yet 100%, but you did. You knew that you were not meant to be in only one place. And I know exactly what you mean when you are saying that you're from a small place, because I'm from a small place. Once the world has opened to you, you can't be in a small place anymore, right?
Agreed.
So you went to Germany and to Amsterdam. That wasn't really that much yet, but for a little girl from a small place, it was a lot. So how did you feel in Amsterdam? You must have been fascinated by the windmills.
Absolutely. It's crazy how much I remember, even the smells. I remember so much about that entire trip. And regarding Amsterdam, one of the most unique things for me, it was kind of like early day Airbnb. They matched us up with a family, and we stayed with this woman named Nell and her family. And because that's what you did in the Netherlands. I mean, they had hotels, but it was more common to stay with a local host. And I remember staying with that family and having breakfast the next morning. And then before we left, she took a picture with me, and she went and put on her full Netherlands garb with her hat and her wooden shoes. And I have this picture of me at 7 years old standing next to Nell. And just like I said, just that whole immersive, balanced travel is all about being immersive in your experience. And I think for me, that immersive experience came about starting at 7. When I travel, everyone travels differently, but for us in balanced travel is all about being more immersive, taking it another step further to really be in the location that you are, whether that's just a few towns from where you live or on the other side of the world.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. I'm fascinated by what you're saying because the company is called Balanced Travel, and balanced travel is actually something that we should all do, but many of us don't. Like there's all sorts of different travelers. There's the country counters. The ones who go for 2-3 days to a place and then they say at the end that they've been to every country in the world. Yeah, it just that's okay, fine. That's a choice, but I think what you do is exactly the opposite.
I really, and like you said, everyone's different and then there's no right or wrong way. I think it's just important to get out there and explore. But yes, for us, we like to spend an extended period of time and, go to the grocery stores or ask the server, where the best place is or where they're going after work, or, maybe find a family that you can stay in their guest house, or, something that's not a hotel, or ask about festivals, or, find a school that you can volunteer in, or maybe that's having something, a project going on, and you can bring something from your hometown, to help the community, or there's all kinds of ways that you can really immerse yourself when you go into a new destination. I personally love grocery stores. That one of the first things, I love to go into a grocery store. That's kind of my introduction.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
bookstores, movie theaters.
Just immerse in the local life. And that's how
Exactly.
you sort of, behave like a local in a way.
It's important to know where you're going, and I think when we spend extended period of time and we have people visit us, I like to ask my friends that are locals, what's three things you wish people knew before they came here? And vice versa, my friends that have never been to a location, what could I have told you to help you better prepare? Because it works both ways. You have to be a good visitor, and you want to be a good host, and you
Oh,
have to
yes.
educate. You have to educate each other, and let's work on that as a community. And that's what balanced travel. I'm trying to build a community where we can come together and share those ideas. Not every festival is going to be on a website. So I started balanced travel. So maybe Elizabeth, you know about this wonderful festival that you share it. Who knows who in our community may be there or may be going there. So just sharing those little things that may not be, on the latest influencers radar, or blasted all over the internet. Just local word of mouth, cultural things, small town, small community, local businesses. Let's really, let's support them and our tourists, and in our visiting.
And that would be or is a much more authentic event than something that's advertised all over the place. That would be something really, really natural and normal. And there is a phrase that I want to repeat that you said before that really, really makes a lot of sense, and that everybody who is listening to us here should use. You have to be a good visitor and you have to be a good host, depending on which side it is. Because if you're a bad visitor and a good host, then you're taking advantage. If you're a bad host and a good visitor, then again, it's unbalanced. And now I'm beginning to understand the name of your company properly,
Thank
because
you,
that's
Elizabeth.
fascinating.
Thank you. Like I said, everyone does travel differently, and balanced travel. It's also about the travel of the journey of life. Life is, we travel through life, and so it's not just about when we're on the road. In my family specifically, we spoke about a little the pandemic. That balance in our travels has come about throughout life, and a lot of that is how we have started practicing sustainability, and more, being more conscious about ecotourism, and making a smaller footprint when we travel. So finding that balance,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were
very.
telling me, we were talking about it before we started recording. Tell the listeners what you did during the pandemic while everybody else was locked up in one place. AB made another choice.
Sure, sure. We stayed here for a little while and followed the rules, but then when everything opened up, my family and I had a discussion, and we decided, since there were new opportunities, that we would move abroad. So we rented out our home, and my son joined an online private international school. My husband and I are fortunate enough to have online jobs already, and we went and moved to Mexico and quarantined there for another 10 months in the Riviera Maya. And so ever since then, we have been living and working remotely for the past 4 years, about 4 or 5 months there. We met an amazing community, amazing locals and Mayan community that we have really immersed ourselves with, that I am so grateful for. And we, yeah, like you said, the world just opened up so many opportunities. So now we're fortunate enough to be able to go back and forth and travel and work remotely, and really immerse ourselves even further, and explore these opportunities.
That's amazing. And I wanted to just remembered something that I wanted to say before, because you mentioned grocery stores. I
Yes.
came back from China and I was in a supermarket in Beijing, and I had forgotten my eye makeup remover. And so my daughter and I were walking around a grocery store in Beijing with Google Translate
Okay.
looking for an eye makeup. We found one.
Okay.
So my question to you now, because I mean, that is why have you, I don't know if you've been to China, but
Not
communication is not so easy. How do you communicate? Do you speak foreign languages or do you use these modern apps that I use?
I'm fortunate enough to speak some Spanish, but yes, the apps are a lifesaver. But yes, I speak some Spanish. I would love to learn other languages. That Duolingo, I did do some Italian during the pandemic. I think everyone kind of tried to learn multiple languages, but that's definitely on my list to get a little more fluent, or at least, conversational. Because again, being a good guest,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
Mm-hmm.
important that you at least put the effort in to
Yeah. I
feel like.
think, even if you don't know much, but if you just put the effort in, as you say, it already opens up a whole new sort of way of communication. People appreciate you more when you can say a few words. They see that you made an effort, like you said. So yeah, even just a word, or even just thank you. Wherever I go, I learn that, even though I said it wrong in China most of the time, but that's okay.
It is. It makes you a little vulnerable. It makes you a little vulnerable, but it's okay.
Yeah, yeah. Now tell me, we mentioned Mexico and we mentioned your trip to Europe when you were a child, but you've traveled a lot more. Where else have you been?
I love Asia. So Asia is probably the next place that I would like to live for an extended period of time. I love spending time in Singapore and Indonesia. I've also spent a lot of time in Europe, south of France, Italy. Italy is one of my favorite. Florence. I feel like in a past life, lived in Florence. I've never gnomed around a city in the middle of the night and felt so comfortable. I absolutely love Florence. Rome. I would love to go to Bhutan. Bhutan, have you ever been to Bhutan?
I haven't, but I have there is an episode in this podcast with a lady
Okay.
from Bhutan, and she is a banker and she is a fantastic, and I want to go. But did you
Oh,
know
I'm
it's difficult to get there? There's only two airlines flying to Bhutan.
exactly. Two airlines. Yes, I've been researching it. I'm going to get there.
You are, so am I. Maybe we'll meet when we're there because this is something that has fascinated me. I don't even remember how I found her, but then we started speaking and then we recorded an episode. If you go back somewhere, you can find her.
Hey, I
Uh,
will.
yeah, I'll send you the link. And yeah, I think Asia, I don't know. I don't know. What did you feel during the pandemic? After the pandemic, when we started traveling again, for you, it's maybe a little different because you were in Mexico, but I had a little moment because I'm a traveler. I have traveled all my life, but I felt for a moment that I had lost my zest. I had lost somehow I was a little afraid. And then last year I went to the US, I went to Los Angeles and New York, which was a big trip for me coming from here. And I thought, okay, I found it again. I'm back. I'm okay. And now when I was in Asia, oh my God, you just don't want to stop. You just want to keep going.
I when it first started and we weren't able to leave, we're fortunate enough we have a space in our home. So on the TVs, I would run YouTube channels of different countries so that I would pretend like I was in other places. Um,
Wow, really?
Yes, I was very landlocked, so I would have Ireland or England or just the Caribbean running on different YouTube channels throughout the house. But the second that they said that we could travel, and I think because I have a hospitality and travel background, and I knew how much that industry was suffering, and I also knew how much they were working to follow the rules so that when things did open up it would be safe if, again, you're a good host and you're a good tourist or a good traveler, not tourist, that's the wrong word, a good traveler. I wanted to show support for my industry. So, Elizabeth, the second that the community opened up in July, my husband and my son and we got on a plane and went to the Dominican Republic. We were probably three people in the whole airport on the whole plane. We were the first people to go into Punta Cana. That group was so happy to host us again. I couldn't wait. And like I said, I think it's because I knew how hard, and one, I didn't want to be fearful. I knew what the rules were. I believed that, we had to follow the rules, but I also knew we couldn't stop living. And I
Hmm.
knew, again, I needed to support these people that were trying to get us back open. So in July, the second, some people thought we were crazy, but we got on a plane and went to Dominican Republic.
Good for you. Good for
And
you. And I, you felt like you wanted to support somebody. You knew
exactly.
that they, as you said, you knew they were suffering, so you wanted to go and be a good traveler.
Yes,
And yeah, it was an interesting time though. That and you said, we had to follow the rules because we had to, we were going to be punished, or I don't know what. No
right,
matter what we believed or how we, there were people who didn't follow the rules, but especially here in Cyprus, I mean, you paid a fine when you
sure.
didn't. So you just did. But I am glad that it's over. Are you?
Yes. I do appreciate the quality family time I got. My son turned 13 during the pandemic. And so I feel a little selfish because I got to kind of keep him close for some of those
Teenage
years that could have been
years.
a little more difficult.
Yes, yes.
So I'm fortunate.
Maybe he doesn't feel exactly the same way.
I think he's got the travel bug too. He loves solo travel. He gets on a plane by himself. He went to Mexico City with a group of friends and they did a big skate trip. He's got my genes for sure.
Hmm. Hmm. My kids got my genes, and I want them to have them because traveling makes you such a different human.
Agreed.
It also makes you humble, and it makes you understand how small you are.
Agreed. 100%. Yes, and how much you can bring, like how much value you have too in the littlest of things.
So tell me, like, Balance Travel is your company.
Mhm.
Can somebody come and book a trip with you?
No, I
What do
do not
you
book
do?
trips. Sure, I have on our website we have a blog, and so right now we're creating travel blogs about all types of different things: sustainability, ecotourism, how to travel like a local, springtime in different countries, a variety of different things. The article or the blog that'll come out this next week is about women in travel. Just different interesting people that I've met in my travels and that I'm fascinated by. And so I'm just trying to I mean, not everyone's a blog reader, obviously. So I have my blog, and then the community that I'm trying to build is on our Instagram, the Insta Balance Travel. And so, like I said, that's a smaller community that I'm hoping people will join. And there's travelers all over the world. But like I said, Elizabeth, if you're traveling and you're like, hey, and you tag me because there's this festival, someone that's in my community might see it and it might want to go to that. So not everyone follows every influencer. So I that's why I'm trying to build this community where you can go and post about smaller things or share tips about how you travel more sustainably, or some tips. Like I just keep coming back to this because I'm trying to do some swaps and get rid of one use things. But you mentioned trying to find a eye makeup remover. So I'm going to send you something because I've found this amazing company out of Vietnam called Jungle Culture, but they do sustainable goods. But you should have, Elizabeth, as much as you travel, I'm going to send you these little bamboo makeup removers. And you just get them wet. You don't need anything, and you just wash them, and it takes your eye makeup off, and you wash them, and you can reuse them millions of times, and you never need to look for eye makeup remover.
Really? So I wouldn't be walking like a lost person in the supermarket in Beijing.
Yes.
That's amazing. You see, this is why I love doing this. And coming back to the pandemic, the reason why I started this podcast is because I couldn't travel anymore. So I thought if I can't travel, at least I can talk about it. And that's how I started. I mean, you're going to be, I don't know exactly, I think you're going to be episode 162. So I've never stopped since then. And I have met so many fascinating people like you, and, found out about bamboo eye makeup remover. Definitely. I want to come back to the blog. Do you blog yourself, or do you have guest bloggers as well? Or are you thinking of having?
Right now, because I am just now building the community, I would love to have guest bloggers. I've been interviewed, I interviewed the sustainability manager for Mayakoba. So I've had some great interviews and, like I said, interesting people. But right now, all the blogs are mine. But yes, definitely would love to partner and, co-collaborate. Again, just trying to create this community of like-minded individuals, not trying to convince anyone of anything, not trying to book travel. That has been mentioned. I that is my background, so I'm not opposed to if people want to get together and we do end up putting a trip together. I have several good people that I know, boutique agencies, women owned. One particular is women owned, and then another is a small group that I was actually on a podcast with that does immersive travel that I just met. So I know a lot of people, and that's what I want to do is connect you with, Terra Explorer that does the really immersive trips in Guatemala. So I can make those connections and be that community. Then that's what I'm looking to do. And then monetize the blog with not the small businesses, but aligning ourselves with some of the bigger businesses that actually do support our ethos, that are, aligned with ecotourism, that do give back, that are mindful of the environment, that do have programs for their local communities. The Bahawa Preserve, for example, in Indonesia, they do an amazing program for their community. I mean, and a lot of these bigger businesses, that have the money, they are starting to make a difference. But I think it's the smaller people like us and the independent boutique travelers that need to call them to task, tell them what we need, tell them what we expect. Quit putting small travel size shampoos in your hotels. Those can't be recycled. Like, let's, be smarter than that. And they are making some differences, but it's important that we hold them accountable to that. So I think with my Instagram community, we can come together, let's share ideas. I don't know everything. I know a ton of people. I try and pose a lot of questions so that we can collaborate, and I'm very involved and I like to talk to my people. And so I know it'll probably be a small niche group, but I really want to surround myself with people like me that we can travel well. Let's share where the greatest taco stand is or where the best pad thai in Thailand is. Let's support those small businesses.
Excellent. For those who are listening, I'm going to put the website in the show notes. So in case somebody's interested in the blog or interested in contributing to the blog, or maybe sponsoring AB, who
Okay.
knows?
Yeah.
Or somebody who wants to distribute those eye makeup thingies, who knows?
Oh, and
Because
one other thing, I will tell you, one thing, we did have a shop on our store, or on our website. Several of my friends are photographers, and then my husband is an amazing artist. So there is a shop of like travel related photography that we just started putting on there, that some of my friends have some beautiful artwork. So just trying to support some local artists that's on there. But I would love for people to read our blogs and offer me ideas of things they want to hear about, or communities that I should know about and write about. Anything that you want to share, let's be good travelers.
yes, I agree. Let's be good travelers, but I haven't finished with you yet. Do you have a favorite country in the world? Do you have a favorite food in the world? If you had to choose, where would you go for a long time?
I really want to go and live in Asia for a long time. And I would have to say Asian food is probably one of my favorites, which I went to culinary school for a while as well. And I studied in the States and studied in South France, or in Northern Italy. And I love cooking that. But when I first got into cooking, it was Asian food that sparked my interest. And I think it was the type of ingredients and then the way that they could combine such unique things that made such incredible flavors, and especially the chilies. I absolutely love Asian food. And I would, like I said, I think my next stint, for our family, I would love to spend several months somewhere in Southeast Asia.
Fantastic. Culinary school. I know a few people who've been to culinary school. Do you bake nice cakes as well?
Oh no, baking is another
That's
creature. I am
another
not a scientist.
profession.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I'm creative. I can taste things in my mind and put them together.
So
Yeah.
when you travel, do you try things that you don't know what is in them?
Oh yes. Definitely.
Yes, you
I'm
do.
very adventurous. Yes.
Yeah, because that's what we do in Asia, isn't it? Sometimes you have
Yes.
no idea what you're putting in your mouth, but it tastes good.
Exactly. And maybe it's better you don't.
I agree. I totally agree.
I love having I love when I travel, I love to collect ingredients like my kitchen at home. My dream would be if money was no object, I would charter a plane and I would have my ultimate shopping list. And I would go get my spices in Morocco and my fleur de sel in the south of France and my saffron in Iran. And I would just go shopping all over the world and get my ultimate shopping list.
Wow. Well, you know where the good stuff is? Saffron in Iran. Is
Saffron
something
in
in Morocco and fleur de sel in. Yes, yes, you do know. You know your stuff.
Iran.
Wonderful. So yeah, I think we've covered because normally what I do ask is what's next. But in your case, I think we're pretty sure you're going to go to Asia.
I hope so. Yes,
And when you go, you will find that podcast episode with
I will.
my friend Eden. Her name is Eden, and you will get in touch. And I think you need an invitation to
I
Bhutan, but I'm sure she will extend one.
would love that. I would absolutely love that, Elizabeth.
What is it? The happiest country in the world or something? Is
Yes,
what
it
they
is.
call it. Yes, yes, yes. So, AB, any last words? Anything for people who maybe are not such balanced travelers or maybe not such good travelers yet? What would you tell them? How can they become better travelers?
I would say just take that first step. I mean, you don't have to have a passport even, just, I mean, there's no right or wrong way. Just explore, don't just count yourself out because you don't have a passport. Take a road trip. There's so much to see. You don't have to leave your country or even your state to learn something about another community. I really, like we mentioned, food. You learn so much about people having a meal with them, and whether that's in Asia, halfway across the world, or just another town next door, another family, even. Just put yourself out there and open up to other people's thoughts and ideas.
Yeah, and I want to add something and open up to people that may sound or be foreign to you. Don't have this fear because I think food connects us.
100%.
So, go and speak to those people. I don't know, maybe from the Middle East or somewhere, and then they will give you delicious food and you can swap. And
Exactly.
what you were saying about the passport, you're, of course, I believe, especially you mean the US, because the US is a very, very big country. And I
Right.
was a tour guide in the US, and I have been really nearly everywhere. And I do know that there's so much beauty and there is so much to do in the US that you
Right.
really don't need to leave the country, but you
Exactly.
need to leave your village.
Exactly. You leave your village, leave your village.
And go see something else.
Take something from your village to another village too.
So true, so true. So this has been absolutely delightful. We will be in touch, you and I, because
Thank
we
you,
have
Elizabeth.
a lot in common. I want to thank you very much, AB, for being on Most Memorable Journeys today.
Thank you for having me. Enjoy your afternoon.
If you enjoy my podcast, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. You will find all the information in the show notes.